Two middle-aged old college buddies spend a week together before one of their weddings. Sound cool? Good, because I'm here to talk about Sideways from 2004. What's up, guys? I hope you're having a good start to your new year, or whatever we're supposed to say around this time. I decided to kick off the new year with talking about one of my favorite movies. And I know it might not sound like something I might normally review, but I promise it's a good one. It's a classy, well-rounded film that I always find myself returning to. So, Sideways was directed by Alexander Payne, who I gotta say I haven't seen any of his other works, despite, a fair amount of critical acclaim. It was adapted from the 2004 novel by Rex Pickett. It was a pretty successful film, grossing over $109 million on a $16 million budget. It was also a critical success, with numerous well-known publications calling it one of the best films ever made. Roger Ebert himself gave it a rare 4 out of 4 stars. It was a career breakthrough for all of the main actors, really, who were thoroughly praised for their performances, and rightfully so. Sideways centers around Miles, played by the always lovable Paul Giamatti, a depressed, struggling writer trying to make a breakthrough and always falling short. I can relate. And I can identify with Miles' depression quite a bit, the waking up late, constantly making excuses, easily irritated. And then we have his longtime friend and exact opposite in Jack, played by the charismatic Thomas Hayden Church. Jack is optimistic, although his career has hardly been super successful. He's an actor that saw some minor attention, but now has been relegated to commercial voiceovers. He's getting married in a week to a woman who comes from a rich family, whereas Miles is still struggling emotionally from his recent divorce. Miles and Jack have plans to spend the week taking a road trip to the Santa Ynez Valley wine country in California. Wine is a huge part of this film, and Miles is definitely a huge connoisseur, and Jack really isn't. He's just kind of along for the ride. The first stop they make is to Miles' mom's house. He claims it's to surprise her for her birthday, but you learn that it was a way for Miles to steal a little bit of money out of her room. This scene definitely reminds you, yet again, that Miles is a very flawed person. And I mean, he isn't a bad guy. It's just that depression can make you take things out on people around you that, that care about you. It's still a pretty shitty thing to do to a caring, sweet 70-year-old lady. And so their journey begins. Miles and Jack make stops along the way to different wineries and tasting rooms, and most are places Miles used to go to with his ex-wife Victoria. In fact, you kind of get the impression that part of the reason Miles chose this destination, was to relive the time of when his life was happy. Jack couldn't really care much for any of the surroundings. He is really just looking to party while he still can. They end up going to a restaurant where Miles knows some of the staff, particularly a woman named Maya, played by Virginia Madsen. The next day at another restaurant, they meet Stephanie, played by Sandra Oh, who coincidentally knows Maya, and they all make plans to have dinner together. Afterwards, Miles and Jack drive out to a vineyard to look around, and Jack finally tells Miles that Victoria is going to be at his wedding. And not only that, but she'll be there with her new husband, and of course this upsets Miles quite a bit. He didn't know Victoria had remarried. I think that maybe he still, thought they had a chance of getting back together. As you get older, you go through these things. I mean, I have. And the night comes. Miles and Jack get ready for dinner, very much reluctantly on Miles' part. He's still pretty shook from the news earlier, and he's not comfortable with Jack trying to bang every woman he sees, and he's certainly not comfortable having to pretend that his book is being published. Thanks, Jack. Now that's kind of a not so minor detail that I probably should have mentioned earlier on. So Miles has written a book. He has submitted it for publication, and he is basically waiting for his agent to get back to him. It's kind of hanging in limbo. However, Jack, in order to make Miles more attractive to women, is telling everyone that his book is in the process of being published, and Miles is it's not true, so Miles is very, very uncomfortable with this. As they have dinner, things are going well. Jack keeps a close eye on Miles to make sure he doesn't drink too much and, kind of give away everything. Sandra Oh and Virginia Madsen are charming. This cast just worked so well together. And by now, you should be noticing the effective cinematography work. I mean, sure, it's been wine fields and wine bottles and amazing-looking food, and I wouldn't know how to even turn a camera on. But damn it looks great. Miles leaves during dinner after drinking a bit to call Victoria from a payphone. Never a good idea. It goes about as well as you would expect. Stephanie suggests that they all go back to her place for some more wine. Maya and Miles, browse through Stephanie's wine collection, and Maya asks Miles if he has anything interesting that he's been saving. Now keep in mind, I don't know shit about wine. I've had a little. It's okay, and that's about it. But there's a part where Miles mentions he doesn't have much of a collection, but he has been saving a 1961 Cheval Blanc. And I may not know what that is, but I don't have to, because Maya does, and she lights up. She says that the 1961 wines are actually peaking that year, and I took that as a bit of symbolism for Miles. He says he was originally saving it for his 10th wedding anniversary. They have a glass of wine together, and Miles is impressed by her critiquing skills. He learns that, she was also divorced recently, which the last time he saw her, she had still been married. They chat about what their favorite wines are, how and when they got into wine, and again, you don't have to know anything about wine or even care. But this scene is really powerful. You see Miles melt a little bit, and, he starts falling for Maya, something he had not even really planned on. I think that she feels the same, but also didn't plan on it. It's pretty intense, and being vulnerable is a scary fucking thing. It complicates things for Miles. He was just going to go along with Jack's scheme that he was never even into in the first place. And I think I'll stop my overly long synopsis here. I said a lot, but I didn't spoil the ending. And what an ending it is. It's just so well written and acted, and unless you're a complete dick, you'll feel things here. I'm giving Sideways a 9 out of 10, but really, I don't know why I don't just give it a fucking 10. It's heartfelt, it's funny, it's sad, it's happy, it's about life, It's a classy film. You don't need to care about wine, but it's a cool theme regardless. I grew up in Northern California, so I guess that I could kind of relate on some level. Watch it for the sharp writing, watch it for the cinematography, but most of all, watch it for the brilliant performances by Paul Giamatti and Virginia Madsen. Cheers, guys.